Becoming a person of high values, a person of principles, a person of honesty, a person that earns respect. That kind of character. How can we have a system that will build in the integrity, that people will know that if this happens, then this will happen. And if this goes wrong, here's the way to fix it. Unless you have the principles and the character and the integrity to put together a viable plan for a wide variety of people, then the system is not going to last very long. And I've been around long enough, and I'm sure you have been around long enough to see a lot of systems that got started, but they failed. And the reason is because they were not constructed with integrity. They were not constructed with character. They were not constructed with doing the right thing. They might have been constructed to take advantage. When someone took advantage, didn't have the character, didn't have the principles, and didn't have the character to stay, the character to see it through, the character to do the right thing. So this is important, to develop the character within yourself, that people see you as honest, as fair, willing to do the right thing, willing to be helpful, but always willing to walk the center line, not to pass the line.
No matter what you do, your ultimate goal, beyond what you're trying to accomplish at the moment, is to achieve your own happiness and become a good person. An individual can exercise a key success factor for developing a moral character to achieve the kind of happiness that everyone longs for, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. Now, people are successful in life to the degree to which they can organize their world in such a way that they are genuinely happy. The only difference between people in this area, happiness, is that some people are better at achieving their own happiness and others are not particularly successful. They're basically unhappy most of the time. Some people make choices and decisions that make them unhappy and worse off than they ever would have been if they had done nothing at all. But always, happiness must be your major goal. If you can become a happy person, then everything else will work out for you.
It is so dynamic, it is so powerful, and it is so possible in fortune making that sometimes people want to speed up the process by cutting the corners, by neglecting to do the right things, to cheat a little here, cross the line just a little bit, because then, it'll grow faster and you can cash in quicker. Not necessary here. Vitally important. Building and developing your own character. And it's very important how other people see you. If they don't see you as a leader, chances are they won't pay attention. If they don't see you as being in control, chances are they won't have the trust. If they don't see you as knowing where you're going, what you want to accomplish, they probably won't follow. But if people can see you, if you have the image of someone that's in charge, in control of your life, your future, your destiny, in control of the situation, if they see that, that kind of image is powerful. It helps to win the day. It attracts other people. People want to be around people that are in control, that are powerful, but they know how to use their power, influential, but they know how to use their influence. That kind of image is important.
So start off by striving to become a good person. In his time, Aristotle examined the human condition and came to a remarkable conclusion. He said only the good can be happy, and only the virtuous can be good. Now, this is one of the major breakthrough ideas in philosophy. Imagine, you can only be happy if you're a good person, and you can only be a good person if you practice the virtues that are associated with goodness. What this means simply is that if you want to have a wonderful life, you must continually strive to become a good person. Any deviation from this course will lead you to lower levels of happiness and dissatisfaction. Every single time you act consistently with the highest values and virtues that you know, you feel happy and strong inside. Your self-confidence and self-esteem go up, and you become more effective in your relationships and in your work.
The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you think, your capacity for learning, all of that is an important image that you have of yourself. The image that you have that if it needs to be learned, you could learn it. If there's a book that needs to be mastered, you could master it. If there's a skill that needs to be learned, why couldn't you get busy now and learn that skill? That kind of self-image, that I am continually trying my best to be the best I can. Because one of the most important places you have to look is into the future, yes. You've got to look into the past, yes. You've got to look around, yes. But one of the most important places you have to look is in the mirror. You know, how I appear to other people, that's important. But how I appear to myself is the ultimate importance.
Now, in our world, your reputation is your greatest asset. Your reputation can be defined as how people think about you and talk about you when you're not there. As you know from your own experience, when people talk about you in either positive or negative terms, and you find out about it, it has a major impact on your thinking and on your emotions, either positive or negative. Because of the law of attraction, as you develop a moral character and live more and more by the highest and best virtues that you know, you will become a happy and good person. So you must always strive to exercise this success factor and develop a high moral character. You must compare everything you have to do and say, is this the right thing to do? And the rule is always do the right thing. And you always know inside what the right thing is.
I find it especially helpful when I discover something about the origins of words in ancient or foreign languages. I learned the origin of the word, and then I just sat there for a minute and realized that in this case, the origin of the word just about says it all. So I'm going to tell you where the word character comes from, and I'd hope it has as big an effect on you as it did on me. Character comes from a Greek word meaning chisel, or the mark left by a chisel. I'm going to repeat that because I think it's very important. Character is derived from the Greek word for chisel. And of course a chisel is a sharp steel tool used for making a sculpture out of a hard or difficult material like granite or marble. And a chisel is also used for stripping away waste material from an object, stripping away stuff that might get in the way in order to get down to the essential thing, the thing that really matters. So in its origins, the word character isn't related to a word like charisma, which we've described as a kind of magic wand. Character isn't a magic wand. Character comes from chisel, and I hope you'll remember that. You've got to chisel your character out of the raw material of yourself, just like a sculptor has to create a statue. The raw material is always there. Everything that happens to you, good or bad, is an opportunity for building your character.
Now, there is a success factor for greatness that I want to share with you. If character is the greatest success factor to your life, the fundamental component of one's character is trust. In relationships, trust is the glue that holds it all together. It's impossible for us to proceed in any kind of a relationship unless we trust and feel confident with the other person. All good friendships are based on trust. All strong families are based on trust. And in companies which are larger business families, trust is the fundamental ingredient that determines the success and the prosperity of the enterprise.
Character is something that you have and that you are. You could be marooned on a desert island, and your character would still be important. In fact, it would likely be very important in that situation. But charisma wouldn't do you any good at all. Charisma requires the presence of others, while character is all about you. Character is the person you are after you've chiseled and have gotten past all the unnecessary material to what's underneath. But since we're usually surrounded by other people, let me be a little more specific about how the differences between a charismatic person and a person with character can play out in the real world, particularly in leadership situations. The essential point is this: I don't think character is something that just happens by itself, any more than a chisel can create a work of art without the hand of an artist guiding it. In both instances, a conscious decision has been made. A conscious process of design is at work. Character is the result of hundreds and hundreds of choices you may make that gradually turn who you are at any given moment into who you want to be. If that decision-making process is not present, you'll still be somebody. You'll still be alive, but may have a personality rather than a character. And to me, that's something very different.
Now, if the inner expression of integrity is truth, then the outer expression of integrity is quality work and quality behavior under all circumstances. In Abraham Maslow's studies of self-actualizing people, he found that one of the characteristics of the most advanced people he studied was that they were extremely objective and truthful about themselves, about their strengths and about their weaknesses, and about their situations in life. They never tried to convince themselves or others of things that weren't true. These self-actualizing people exercised the success factor of character, and they lived in truth with themselves. As a result, they were able to live in truth with others.
From my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, who said to me, "Mr. Rohn, if you want the future to change for you, you've got to change." And he said, if you don't change, the next 6 years of your life is going to be just like the last 6. You'll still be behind on your bills. You'll still be behind on your promises. But then he gave it to me in the form of a promise. When I was 25 years old, I've remembered it all these years. Young man, if you will change, everything will change for you. If you will get better, everything will get better for you. What a clear message that was for me. He said, if you'll change your philosophy, if you'll change your habits, if you'll refine your thinking, if you'll change and accept some new disciplines, if you'll turn the corner where you've been in the past, go for a new life for the future, he said, all kinds of remarkable things will happen for you if you will change.
So refuse to compromise your moral character. Refuse to pretend or wish or hope that something is not true when in your heart you know it is. This means that you live in truth with everyone around you. You state your truth, what you really feel, simply and honestly. You do not stay in relationships that are wrong for you or do things that you do not agree with or believe in.
Before I met Mr. Schoaf, I used to cross my fingers and say, I sure hope things will change. I was hoping the government would change and the tax structure would change and that my boss would change and pay me more money, this would come down, and I was hoping that circumstances would get better. And then I discovered from my teacher that those things are going to continue the same. In fact, all of those things that happen to us is kind of like the wind that blows. But we must not leave our future just to the wind, just to the economy, just to the structure of the way things are happening today. Here's what we must learn to do, and that is set a good sail. And if you'll learn to set a good sail, and that's what my teacher taught me in those early days. He said, Mr. Rohn, the wind is going to blow however it's going to blow. Politics are going to be politics, and the economy is going to be the economy. And however it turns out, that's the way it's going to be. What you must learn to do is not to wish for a better wind. That's naive. The key is to wish for the wisdom and the skills and the learning so that you can set a better sail. And so that's what I did at age 25. I went to work not on the economy. I went to work not on the community. I didn't go to work to try to change the government. I didn't go to work to try to change my boss or the company. I didn't go to work to try to change circumstances. I went to work to try to change myself. And I picked up that promise my teacher shared with me, that if I would change, my income would change. If I would change, my bank account would change. If I would change, my future would change. And sure enough, his promise came true for me. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Those pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, behind on my promises. The second 6 years of my economic life, I wound up rich. But interestingly enough, the second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same and the economy was about the same. You know, the companies were about the same. What they paid was the same. Circumstances around me were the same. You know, my negative relatives were the same. But I was not the same. That's how my life changed. Things started working for me, changing my life all those years ago.